So Ted, we obviously have just recently met, right? And I feel like we kind of hit it off. We have some really good conversations, and you're a great guy. And I feel like I want to know.
Describe it as love at first sight.
Essentially, yeah, it definitely could have been. I was like, this guy, love him. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about you and where you came from and what your background was ultimately. So we were talking the other day, and you had mentioned that you had moved from Greece to America at age 4, correct? Correct. So would you mind going a little bit more into that and what the experience was, how you guys got there, how your parents ended up getting established here, and how that affected you?
Well, interestingly enough, we got here with TWA.
Okay.
So there was no boat involved.
Okay.
My dad was already living here. He actually he loved America, and he tried to live in Greece, and he just couldn't. So he moved myself, my older brother, and my mom, of course, and we all came here. And the only thing I remember from the very beginning, the only thing I can remember is how difficult it was for my older brother to learn English. He had already learned. He was already in school.
How old was he when he came in?
He's only a year and a half older, so he would have been
He's
in
like
the first grade.
Okay.
He would have started first grade here, and it definitely was a change. And my father would sit there and just teach him English. I learned everything, all my languages at the same time because I apparently didn't start speaking until I was 4.
Really?
Which coincides with the move. So I actually learned Greek by speaking it in the house and hearing it all the time, and I speak and I learned English by watching television. So everything from Tom and Jerry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom and Jerry, I feel like was probably a difficult one to learn from when there's really no voices on that show.
I guess I learned my antics on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I remember. I don't remember. My father never had to sit down and teach me English per se because I had a whole year before I would have to start school, and I would start in kindergarten.
Okay.
So I do remember speaking both languages at the same time, and that's why I can't I can't decide on an accent. I'm also, obviously I grew up on Long Island, so we have that accent to contend with. So I don't know, it's like not really a Long Island accent. It's not a Greek accent. And when I speak Greek, I must have a little hint of non-native accent.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Very, very interesting. Do you remember anything about Greece like before when you came in, or was it just kind of like you don't really remember that side because you were really young and most of your memories are just based in America?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess some people might remember things when they're earlier than 4, but for the most part, I remember Greece by visiting on vacations.
Interesting. Okay.
Years later, for several times.
How often do you go and visit Greece?
I have not been to Greece in a very long time.
Yeah.
But my dad did try to send us on vacations like every summer. It would be expensive, but every other summer.
Yeah.
Or so, just to see relatives and everything.
Cool, man. When just growing up in general, were you more of a quiet kid? Were you more outgoing? Did you have a lot of friends? Did you kind of hang in the back of the class kind of thing? What was your experience like growing up as far as you as a young kid going out through elementary school and stuff like that? Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, I think I must have been a quiet kid. And for the most interesting thing that I know growing up in elementary school, and I guess even in junior high and high school, there was no other student with my name. People that are named Chris, usually you have another Chris.
Right. There was definitely always multiple Chris's in the class for me.
Not a lot of people with I never came across another person with my name in school. And the other most interesting thing, and I guess the teacher must have been placing us by birth date. Maybe not. I actually sat next to a kid, I think in the 5th grade, where suddenly it was like, and it's like, what's your birthday? And it was January 1st. And we had the same exact birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was like, there's no one else named Ted, but at least there's actually at least someone who has, January 1.
Yeah, I didn't even know that January 1st was your birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. What's that like, having on the new year every day is also the day that you were born?
It means you don't have any parties at school. It means you think you're getting gypped on presents, but
got you.
Parents are overcompensating, so you actually don't get gypped on presents.
Yeah, that's that. And then a question about school too is have you Ted ever gotten into a fight? at any point in your life, have you ever gotten into a fight?
I really have not. Wait, I'm going to think about this. There was no, and in fact, many years later, like a few years ago, when I started kickboxing,
Right.
the kickboxing coach, he said something. He said, you should hit the bag like you want to hurt it. And I was like, okay. And he's like, no, I really mean it now. And so that's the closest thing I have to getting into a fight.
Honestly, I'm same exact way. I think that I never really saw the need
And
to
it's not because I
use
don't
violence.
like violence,
Right.
I just never had the need to.
Good.
I feel like there's a moment. There might have been one moment. Every so often, when you're at a bar and you're drinking, maybe you think, "Oh, this could end up in a fight." I've always been lucky enough. There's always I'm hanging out with someone a lot bigger, and probably would have to take the hit.
Right. And there's like a lot of people who do end up in I feel like everybody at some point in their life ends up in a situation where they technically could fight, but I feel like you have like a lot of self-awareness, and maybe something goes through you if there ever was an opportunity to do so, that you kind of you self-reflect and know, I don't need to be doing this. So respect to you for having that. Would you agree with that?
I guess I would. I call it luck. Sometimes everything is brought into your life the way it's supposed to.
Blessings, man. Blessings. So biggest thing, career, obviously the way that we met was through real estate, and you're very successful at it, in my opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would, be blessed to be where you were at and what you've done, and just hearing about you speak on behalf of it. How did you, before I touch base there, did you ever go to college?
Yes.
You did. Okay. And what college did you go to?
Oh, nice and local, Stony Brook University.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And what did you study?
Broadcasting.
You went for broadcasting.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So where it kind of ended up where we were supposed to be, right?
We started out.
Right where we started out, yeah. So how did you, instead of pursuing a career directly in broadcasting, if you didn't do that, what kind of pivoted you to go into real estate? What was the stimulus there that got you there?
Well, obviously, my parents wanted, your parents always want you to do something stable. So I was actually going to school for broadcasting, but there was also political science. There was a thought of law school at one point, and then I realized how much studying is involved. So then there was a slight pivot to the idea of, okay, let's just get a teaching degree, and that way you'll fall back on that. So I was supposed to do my student teaching the fall of 2000. Trying to get all my dates. Well, anyway, I didn't. Previously, in the spring, we sold our family business. My parents sold their family business, the diner.
Oh, nice.
Because I'm Greek.
Yeah, I feel like that is a thing with diners. A lot of Greek diners.
We were interviewed about the origination of the diners. Some woman was writing a book.
Yeah.
I have no idea if she ever wrote the book. But my dad and us growing up in the diner, we were interviewed about that. Yes,
Wow.
and it is a thing. It's 100% a thing.
Can you give me a little background on why? Because I'm genuinely curious. I have multiple diners that I love and go to that are Greek diners.
From what I understood from the book, because that she was writing, this woman who I was obviously a teenager at the time, so that's how long ago. So from what I understand, her premise was that Greeks ended up in the diner business because obviously a lot of people maybe have had immigrated to the country, obviously in New York especially. So then New York, and then what is one of the jobs that they could attain as possibly not being able to speak very good English, et cetera. Immigrants that they came for the hope of a better life, obviously. And one of the jobs would have been, I guess, washing dishes in diners, because apparently many, before the Greeks owned all these diners, I believe that a lot of Jewish people were owning diners.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is the premise that I got. So I assume that suddenly, that's the one job you can get. You make money, and then you work your way up. I'm not saying that one person decided to start as a dishwasher and evolved into becoming the owner of the diner, but you have to start somewhere. And I think that's the evolution of it. And then, you throw in a couple of gyros and
man,
and spanakopita, and now suddenly you got a success story.
Gyros are great. And then those Greek those Greek gyros at the diners and stuff like that, man, they'd be hitting.
And
So,
I remember when the company for gyros was starting, I guess they were doing an ad campaign, and they decided to start calling it by the way you're supposed to pronounce it, which is gyro.
gyro, yeah.
Yeah, so gyros. And there were posters, and we put them up in our diner, and I don't think it ever took because apparently you still call it gyros, right?
Did you ever work in the diner with your parents?
Yeah, that's also a Greek thing. Child labor laws don't exist if it's if it's a family member.
So were you a waiter? Did you do waiting?
Yeah, I started out. I think I would have had to wash dishes, so I started washing dishes. If I remember the math, I had to be 12.
Okay.
So 12 years old.
You were waiting tables,
and then at some point I waited tables, and I had a lot of fun waiting tables because that was like
that's awesome, man.
Real cool. You got to speak to the public. You got to speak to all these different people. They were all usually nice.
Do you believe that was a big contribution to your success in real estate? Maybe having that background at such a young age, communicating with those people, and being able to do that.
Well, it had to have benefited me, and this
absolutely.
This is a lot like a while ago, I read a book called Outliers, and it talks about how people excel in different fields, including hockey. I think the book focuses on hockey. How come hockey players have an oddity where a lot of the great hockey players, the most successful ones, superstars, they share like a birthday zone, like born within a certain months of the year.
Interesting.
And it had to do with I believe in Canada, the cutoff age or the cutoff date to start hockey was at a certain date. So someone could have been a little had a little more practice or a little more practice. So the book Outliers talks very, very similarly to the other book by Malcolm Gladwell,
right?
David and Goliath. We're not successful in spite of our circumstances. We're successful because of our circumstances. So, and yes, being able to speak to people, because I got into real estate when I was 24, 25 years old.
Yes.
And when you're 24 and 25, you're a young person. I didn't know anything about paying a mortgage. I didn't know anything about paying real bills, household bills and supporting a family even. So when you're speaking to someone, you have to take that for granted and say, wait, you have to know how to speak to people. So I equate knowing how to speak to people for two things in my life. The diner, obviously, because you're full spectrum of strangers to speak to,
right?
And the second thing was college. I have a lot of people might think, oh, you went to college, but what are you using your college degree for?
Right.
I'm using it all right.
I completely agree with that. I mean, having broadcasting, I'm assuming that you had like a lot of practice speaking. Did you do like public speaking in there too?
I was a very successful broadcaster. Same thing when I say I went on auditions. I obviously didn't ace them. No. No. I think the broadcasting background. I think it was just something that interested me. But not to say that I practiced or even was even on like some student broadcasting team or anything.
Yeah, but that's still super interesting. That's all working towards a bigger purpose in some way, shape, or form. Now, I don't know if you answered the question exactly because we kind of pivoted a little bit, but ultimately, how was real estate presented to you?
Oh,
how the
I never answered the question.
No, but that's okay. It's fine. I was thinking about looping back to it, but
I remember. I remember it now.
Yeah.
I know why I'm in real estate.
Yeah, why, Ted? Why are you in real estate?
Because I really wanted to be a bartender.
What?
I signed up for bartending school. I remember signing up for bartending school. Okay. I paid the fee and everything. And I was going to go to bartending school and then be a bartender in the Hamptons.
Okay. That's not a bad spot to be doing it. Hell yeah.
Tips. Remember, I was 23 years old.
Yes.
I was 23 and I had a full head of hair.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I had really cool hair. And I hate to say it myself.
I saw some of the pictures in your office, man. I was just kind of looking. I saw it and I was just like, wow, that guy's got some flow for sure.
If anyone's wondering, yes, there are pictures of me all throughout the office.
And he's got flowing blonde hair, man. It is definitely like blowing in the wind type on a convertible on a summer day, type of hair for sure.
Still dream about it.
Got a little bit of maybe a surfboard in the back. I always think that you look like a surfer.
I know. I wish I wanted to take up surfing, and it's never too late.
Hey man, you're just taking up broadcasting now. There's definitely plenty of opportunity for you in the future for some surf.
I wanted to be a bartender.
Right.
And my parents said, "Well, you'll be a teacher." And then they said, "And why do bartending?" We had sold our diner, so I was like,
okay,
I wasn't
yeah.
going to sit around do nothing.
Of course.
It was a small diner, so it wasn't like you can't afford to sit around and do nothing. So I had signed up for the bartending course, and my parents said, "Well, what about real estate?" And we had a really good customer who had his offices. He's a home builder,
okay.
right next door to my parents' diner.
Wow,
and
look at that.
Talked to Rick, and he'll set it up, So I talked to Rick, and then I spoke to a broker who was a very completely different brokerage than what I actually signed up for. And he said, you'll have a desk, you'll have there, you do whatever you want, you do.
Right.
And so I signed up for the real estate course. Obviously, back then it was only 45 hours. I actually took the test. I didn't realize you had to, no, you don't have to. I took the state test before I finished the real estate course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I also read the whole book because I thought you had to read the whole book.
Okay.
And I later realized you only had to read half the book because the other half was for the broker's exam.
Interesting.
So I'm sitting there reading the whole book. I take the test, and then my dad mentions, he's like, there's a little ad here that says, "Call this woman Patty." For real estate careers, and then that's when I got involved with a very nice functioning local brokerage. They were actually the number one or the number two brokerage, independent in Lyon, but they had
that's awesome.
Nice rules, everything.
Yeah.
And I had to reschedule career night 3 different times because I remember because there was a brownout once.
Okay.
And you'd think it'd be this.
What is that? A brownout?
The electric
blackout
at the time. It wasn't a blackout. It was called a brownout.
Really? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, so I think I'm using the right words.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I'm not.
A blackout is when the electric goes out completely, but it was so there was some special circumstance, and I think it was like on the eastern seaboard, something about the electrical lines going down. And so I had to reschedule, and you think it wasn't meant to be, and then I finally do schedule. And I walk in with shorts on or something because it was in the middle of summer, and I'm just I'm like, I guess this is how people I'm just going to say hello, and she's interviewing me.
Right.
They took the process very seriously. I have to give a lot of credit. Some things have changed, some things haven't.
Wow.
And it was a nice interview. The woman, the manager, well, we could even call her one of my mentors at.
Yeah, totally.
She actually told me later on. She actually said years later that because I obviously was fairly successful.
Yes.
And she told me years later she had to fight the broker to hire me.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, like has long hair. He's like, what's he gonna do? He's sitting there in shorts and long hair and just acting cool. So and really it was just acting. So she had to fight with him to hire me.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I find it so interesting how this whole time you're working at this diner and then there's this builder, spot right next door that kind of gives you leeway into the opportunity of you getting there. That's super. I always find it so interesting how the universe unfolds and how to get you in the position, where you need to be.
So I did the Tony Robbins seminar, the Unleash the Power Within.
Of course.
And in there, you do learn that there are no accidents.
Right.
Nothing happens by mistake.
No.
We're usually right where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there. And we just don't realize it until, sometimes it's months later, years later. So it's nice when you have that much faith in just the process. I don't want to say the universe. I want to say people should have should have that much faith in the process, in the process of learning. Like I hated waiting tables. I hated waking up at 6, 5 in the morning. It was not an enjoyable experience. It was hard work. But I realize now how much
that was shaping you into being where you were going to go. Now, when you first started real estate, was there anything that you had thought about real estate that as time goes on, you no longer believe to be true? Is something that you originally thought when you were first getting into it, as opposed to where you are now, what you could say about how you looked at it in the beginning? Is it as good, better, or worse than what you thought real estate would be? So those 2 questions.
Wow. That's like more than 2 questions.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
But
I definitely had a lot of filler in there to get it out there, but yeah. So ultimately, to break it down, is there something that you now know to believe to be true about real estate now that you were not aware of when you were
as a brand new agent.
Yeah, when you first were starting, how did you think about it as compared to how you would think about it now?
I actually would have to say the one difference is today, 20 years later, I can see we have so much more control over our careers, our real estate successes, than we may think.
Okay.
Because I think in the beginning, you're at the mercy of everyone. Someone told me in the beginning, I had a lot of really great influences.
Awesome.
And I had a lot of really great interaction with people from all different walks of life, from all different perspectives. And someone did tell me early on, it was hysterical. He had some funny stories. He had his stories start with he sold the wrong house. They documented the section, lot, and block on a house that he was at a closing for. And he was around for a while. He was an older gentleman when I knew him.
Yeah.
And they actually closed on the wrong house. The
Wow.
purchaser owned the wrong section, lot, and block. And it was recorded and everything. So obviously,
That's insane.
Those things can be corrected.
That is crazy.
And he did say what he had a catchphrase that I'll use. I use it from time to time. Real estate. It's the only business that he knew of that you could do everything right and still not get paid. And that sounds like a harsh thing to say. But it's also the only business that you could do everything wrong and still get paid.
That is true.
I've worked with a lot of agents.
Yeah. And so
ultimately, I think real estate I feel the same about real estate as the day I decided not to go into teaching, because I was not successful in terms of my bank account, but I had gained success in terms of, I guess, prospecting, talking to people, buyers in contract in my first 4 months. So I wanted to pursue it. So and I enjoyed it. So I actually feel the same about real estate as I do. I feel real estate has a magic reset a lot of times, and it's probably I really probably am craving it because my birthday, we talked about it before. It's January 1st. That's the magic reset for the world. People
Absolutely.
do New Year's resolutions on
100%.
January 1st. People get to believe so much, and we should just pretend it's January 1st every day, and I can get gifts every day. But let's pretend it was January 1st every day, and that's what real estate is.
Right.
January 1st every day. So one day in real estate, you have. Maybe you're negotiating so many transactions and everything is just being put together and it's great and it's an amazing amount of money to you and it's great. It just feels good. And then the next morning you might realize, oh no, that person changed their mind. And everyone decided to change their mind in the same day. And my first broker, he was a good guy. And I remember he called me into his office one day because I think I had almost a good amount of money. I don't know what people find as a good amount of money, but let's pretend a good amount of money.
You're a humble guy, so I'm sure if you're saying that, you definitely had a hefty bag.
And a good amount of money pending.
Oh, gotcha.
Transactions that are happening. They're in contract, and you're going to get paid anywhere between 45 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Well, yeah, same thing. Yeah,
it's an awesome day. But sometimes awesome days become everyone changed their mind. Somebody lost a job. Somebody could have gotten hit by a truck.
Right.
Somebody who somebody just said, I don't like that house. All right. And an awesome it was not an awesome day where all this money and transactions had gone away. So my broker does call me into his office just because obviously maybe he was being nice or maybe he didn't know me that well. He thought I was gonna. I don't know. Do something bad.
Yeah, I got you.
To rob a bank.
I hear you, man.
He said, that's a lot of money, to lose out on. I said, there's more out there. And there really is. And that's the magical reset of real estate. Obviously, some transactions get put back together. It's just about work.
How old were you when you said that?
That was a year in. So I was 25.
Good for you, man. Good for you to have that look on that at that time.
I've been blessed by working with a lot of fun people.
Yeah.
And so we have all these catchphrases that are in my head. The only business you could do everything right and still not get paid. Someone once told me when I was just anxious about, oh, this person really has to do this because they're not going to get the house, they're not going to get this house, they're not going to get the house, and she's now a good friend of mine. At the time, she was just we had just met in real estate, and she looked at me and said, "Hey, do you have a place to live?" I do. I live. I had a home and I had a shelter and I had food, and she said, "I don't usually curse, but." She says, "Fuck it, you got a place to live," and that compounds with another phrase from another nice woman that I've met in my days of real estate, which is, "You cannot want it more than they do."
Right.
And so I got a lot of great words of wisdom in the first 12 months of my career, and
Absolutely.
I definitely think that is definitely a good starting ground.
That's huge, and for you to even be able to grasp that, because at the end of the day, they could be telling you those things, but you don't resonate with it. So for you to be in a position where you absorb that and actually listen and take that and then apply it, that's huge, man.
What do we think of the ring? I haven't decided if I want to keep the ring on.
Wedding ring?
My ring. It's not a wedding ring. No, but if I want to get hit on at bars, I just turn it around.
Yeah.
Now I'm like prime meat. Ooh. Interesting thing about wedding rings. Greeks, traditional Greeks, this is my left hand. This would not be the hand I would wear a wedding ring on in Greece. In Greece, you would wear your engagement ring on your left hand, and then at the wedding ceremony, it changes to your right hand because there's culturally there's things associated with your left hand, and they say that's the wrong hand to you step into a house for the first time with your right foot.
Yeah.
Not just an analogy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I wouldn't even wear it on my left hand, but in our culture, it works better on the right hand. And next time I go to a bar, I'm going to test out my theory. But this is actually my father's ring. So he's passed away, obviously. So it's my father's ring, but it was gifted to him by my favorite aunt.
Interesting.
So I'm kind of killing two. Maybe that wasn't the right choice of words, but I'm getting two birds with one stone here, so to speak.
Yeah, totally, man.
I don't know. I don't usually wear rings.
Yeah, no, neither.
Getting the hang of it.
Yeah, I'm more of a watch and crystal guy myself. So
I used to wear a lot more crystals. I used to have my favorite Tony Robbins beads, and everyone complimented me on it.
Yeah.
And now for some reason I can't wear it.
Nice.
And today I'm wearing a gift from a client.
Cool.
When I got the gift, I was able to read it.
What is that?
Mini cuff, but it has a phrase on it.
Huh? What does it say?
I can't read it. I know verbatim, paraphrasing, it means something about believing. Do you want to read it? You can read it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take it.
If I was 24, I could read it too.
I can and I will.
There we go. And that says it all.
Go. Yeah. So a lot of you mentioned Tony Robbins a couple times.
Yes.
And was that
Me and Tony, we're like this.
you and Tony were boys?
He's in San Diego and I'm over here.
Yeah, man. You guys are boys, and you went to one of his seminars of some sort, an experience. Can you kind of go through that? Because I know that had a huge impact on you, and you kind of was that like a time for you that you felt like everything kind of changed or everything kind of came together for you? What led you to go there in the first place? And when you actually got there,
I have very selfish reasons to go there. We introduced the program to a lot of our agents. We get to see, and it's a great program.
Yeah.
I had heard about it. I think I had watched Oprah Winfrey, and she, talked about the walking on fire.
Oh, the hot coals. Yeah.
Yep. That's the only thing I knew about the program.
Gotcha.
I had never read. I think Tony Robbins' message is amazing, and it's proactive, and it's positive, and it's beautiful. I wish I could say I had read his self-help books. I had not read his self-help books. I knew of him because like a lot of people, I watched that movie Shallow Hal.
Right.
So here we are with the Tony Robbins seminar people trying to who want to come into our office and introduce themselves to our agents and sell them and convince them to take part in this seminar. A seminar is a fairly costly seminar at the time, and I'm sure it still is. And I remember I only asked one question. I had a lot of our agents knew about the self-help books. They understood the message, and they couldn't wait, and they were signing up. And I had a one question, and I just asked, so if I go to this course, I'm going to walk on fire? I just wanted to know. Because listen, there's a cultural Greek dance in Crete that you actually jump over fire.
Oh, wow.
I've never done it.
Interesting.
I don't mind doing that either. But I was like, so I'm going to walk on fire. And the salesman says, yes. I said, okay. Now I'm thinking, okay, it's a 3-day thing, 3 days. And I'm sure by the third day, they'll fulfill their promise and I'll walk on fire. So that's the extent of my desire to go. So I wanted to say, I'm a fire walker.
Yeah. What are the flames?
Yeah, it's amazing. So, and so anyway, so go to the Tony Robbins first day. The first day starts at like 6 a.m. And you're in these seminars. They're speaking to you. They're just telling you. They're sending a message. They even hypnotize you at some point.
Interesting.
And they put you. They make you go into a trance that allows you to have control over your pain receptors. And allows you to walk on fire. Now, before this, obviously, you take a break, a lunch break, a pee break. I'm going outside, phone break. Okay. And I'm watching throughout the day, and I'm noticing what they're doing. They're making these pits, and I see these pits dug up outside, and they're putting coals in, and they're starting to burn. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And I'm thinking, okay, I was like, I wasn't expecting to walk on fire now. I'm like, I'm not prepared. I'm just looking at them. They're all right. So that's cool. So then now it had to be around, might have been even 2 a.m. for all I remember, because I feel like that's the day, and you're literally in a trance. I mean, I was hearing people snore. So you're not only in a trance, some people have fallen asleep.
Wow.
I might have been one of them. And then he marches you out. He convinces you. I couldn't even repeat the words. I just know that it's an amazing thing, and he marches you out. And there's a phrase that you're constantly saying, and
in your mind, it's just kind of like repeating, essentially.
Just repeating it,
okay, and keeping you in that trance, essentially. Okay.
And then I'm on the line. I'm like 2 people in the queue to walk this. I think it was 6 feet, maybe it was 8 feet. I can't remember. And right after, and I'm right there, and I'm like, okay, wait, all these people that have walked on these coals that are burning, that's generating it should be dissipating the amount of heat. This is great. I'm not. And then right before I go, and he has people that are watching you to make sure you're still in the trance.
Yeah.
It's a trance, but I'm still conscious of everything
right, of
doing.
Of course.
Yeah. And then I see them pile up more burning coals on top of that stupid thing. And I'm like,
Oh, so yeah, they got you, man. They got you.
I walk through the coals. It's not even funny that I could say I did not burn my feet. I did not feel. I don't think I remember feeling any heat. And then at the
did
very
you just
end,
kind of walk across them, or did you like kind of shuffle across them, or just?
No, it was just a walking pace.
Nice.
It was not. And then at the end, they hose you down. They hose your feet down because it is really fire. And when you decide to get out of the trance, if there's a cinder on your foot, on your leg, it will actually cause you to burn it. You will feel pain. I had someone that did happen to them.
Wow.
A little bit of pain.
Yeah.
So it is real fire, and it's amazing, and that is not the most amazing experience. The most amazing experience is the whole program in itself. I don't want to start selling the program. The whole program in itself, and I also cannot say that I was one of those people that just went back to the hotel and said, Tony Robbins. I did not. I said, okay. I said, wow, I just accomplished everything I wanted. Firewalking. That's what I did. And then I committed to the process, and it's an amazing process. It makes you rethink about everything. It makes you realize there are no mistakes. It makes you realize there is abundance, and we are the masters of our own fate and our own destiny. And it's amazing the power that we actually have within ourselves, including being able to walk on fire. But it wasn't for probably another month. I was convinced I had to drink more water, so I knew I had to drink more water. And I took some steps about a little bit of a healthier living lifestyle. Obviously drinking water is step number 1.
Yeah.
Exercising, step number 2. So obviously it changes your life, but I couldn't admit that I spoke this way about the program until at least a month in. a month
Interesting.
later. It's almost like I had friends that were with me, and they were all discussing it. I mean, one friend thought he was like, "I'm like Tony Robbins." Oh, da, 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 da.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, yeah. You know why you're not like Tony Robbins? Because Tony Robbins is like Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
But they were all discussing it. They were just just in it. And I was like, I participated. And I just liked the process. Similar. It was a very similar experience to ayahuasca.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Would you mind telling me about that experience as well?
Ayahuasca.
Now that it brought up, I was gonna have another thing, but once you said that, I was like, I'm interested. I want to know. I want to know about this.
The ayahuasca, a real shaman, from Peru.
You were in Peru?
No, I was not in Peru. I was on Long Island. A good friend of mine was dating the shaman from Peru,
awesome.
and he was going to do a ceremony, and and it causes you to, I guess, realize your demons, or I don't know. All it caused me. It was I couldn't even give you the details because I don't think people would believe them.
Okay.
But it causes you to almost see things from such a different perspective that it's just up there, and I think it awakened my brain in some way to be even more accepting.
Interesting.
So ayahuasca is amazing. I think that's we're gonna save that for a different podcast.
Yeah, that's totally fun. That is totally fun. Just super. Yeah, once you said it, I was just like, oh wow, it's super interesting. So when you came back from the Toby, I think it's actually interesting how you kind of took the time to absorb it, because I feel like a lot of people that might have attached to the idea of I'm this Tony Robbins guy, this is this awesome thing, like they kind of let that maybe get in the way of them actually receiving the greatness that kind of came from the experience in a sense, where their ego kind of got in the way. And I feel like sometimes, and no disrespect to anybody who had that type of thing, I'm sure you felt very powerful and uplifted a lot of people, but I feel like maybe that somehow stood in the way, where their ego kind of got in the way, and they got this motivational section for a little bit.
They they get the superficial effect.
Right. And now they kind of are operating off of this, and eventually, it's gone, because you have to continue you have to have absorbed that inside of yourself, so then you could then release it and operate off of it, as opposed to just having something stimulating you for X amount of time, and then you need the next Tony Robbins seminar to get that back, or you need the next thing to get that back. It's like you kind of ingested it, and it took you a little bit to digest it, but once you had it, then it was now a part of you that you could carry on, instead of having some sort of separation that keeps you from that. And the way that you talk about it, and the way that you get it, and the way that you talk about it definitely shows that is within you now. And do you sometimes think back to that time in your life, like you're just hanging out and you're thinking, damn, when I went to that really changed a lot for me?
I think one of the things that really changed, and I remember the 3 days. I love them,
Right.
but I think one of the things that really changed was about living in the present moment. And it's great to talk about a cool I don't know, I just feel I prefer to think of it as, take that experience, you make it your own, you make it yours, you make it a part of you, a real part of you, and you're able to yes, we enhance our own lives, but if you're a better person, you're actually going to be able to touch and enhance the lives of others, which is, I'm don't worry, I'm not like a weird guru.
No, I got you, bro.
But I have no problem being the best version of myself.
Hell yeah.
But it's a lot like, you're right, the superficial effect can be, you read a book and it says, donate to charity, and you do it, and then you have to read another book to say donate to charity, do it again, as opposed to just donating to charity.
Absolutely.
It's a lot. I see that as exercise. That's the difference with exercise and obviously like things like you could do like plastic surgery. And I have no problem with plastic surgery. I haven't done anything, but it's a lot like that. It's like, oh, I'll just get liposuction and I'll lose that belly fat.
But that changed nothing internally.
Yeah,
there was no internal growth at all. It was just you're removing an external problem, and all that same bullshit that got you there is still inside of you.
You just missed the best part of exercise.
Yeah.
The weird endorphin high. I experienced it for the first time. I think it was during the Murph for CrossFit, and the Murph. And I'm not going to remember all the details, but it involved a lot of running.
Yeah.
And I remember and then it involved a lot of push-ups, and it involved a lot of, I think, probably burpees, and then sit-ups, pull-ups, everything. And I think, and by a lot, I mean like 100 each, something like that. And then running, I think it was like a 2 mile run in between all of those. I might be wrong, I might be right, but it was a great experience. I've done it twice in my lifetime. I'm going to do it again this year. And I remember probably like the third time running, or maybe the second time, I felt the pain. I felt the pain like right here. And I was like,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I wonder if that's
some
a heart
sort
attack.
of a cramp or something like that. Yeah.
And then I was like, I got to keep going. All your CrossFit coaches tell you keep moving forward, no matter how fast or slow, or just keep going forward. And then it went away. And that, I think it was like the first time I really experienced what people call a runner's high.
Interesting.
I don't run on a regular. Now I do. I do run on a regular basis now.
Good.
But that, and I was like, I felt different that whole day. I felt I don't do that many drugs, although we did mention ayahuasca. But I don't do drugs, but I do ayahuasca. I did ayahuasca once.
Hey, that's like a spiritual experience, man.
Yeah. So, and then for the first time, I was like, wow, that's what they call a runner's high. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. The fact that you could feel that way naturally.
And it's a shame to sacrifice. So I'm really glad I never got liposuction. So I'm happy, I'm not rich. I never got liposuction to have that, because I'd rather experience seeing my abs, especially with the endorphin high.
Right. No, I think that's huge, man, because there's a lot of people out there who are constantly looking for the next thing, like a spiritual thing. Like I'm like involved with a group of like healers and stuff like that. There's some people who like constantly feel like they need to be healed all the time. And they're constantly looking for the next thing when the answers really are inward, kind of like what you're talking about, where you actually grasp the experience and feel it, as opposed to constantly looking for that next thing to stimulate you and keep you going. It's when we start to look inward where we might get some of those answers and the feeling that we need to keep going.
100%.
So I think that's awesome that you're able to pick that up, and I'm glad that you did, because you've helped a lot of people over the course of time of what you've been doing. So that's awesome, dude.
I mean, I don't know if I've helped a lot of people.
You definitely have.
Oh.
Yeah. You definitely have. I believe that. I'm very confident that you definitely have. With all the people that you touch in real estate and all the experiences that you've had, the people that you've helped, there's people who look to you as that type of person.
Those charges were dropped. I haven't touched anyone in real estate.
Okay. I got you, man. If you wouldn't mind, man, I would like to play. First, I have a question for you. What Star Wars character do you feel like you relate to the most?
I hate to say it. Anakin.
Anakin. Interesting. Why?
I wish I could say Baby Yoda. Anakin, because Anakin always has a redeeming quality. He's not a typical villain that you say, okay, that's a villain, he's just evil. He actually always maintained there is actually a redeeming quality in him. Also his journey, and he is the natural human. We all have a dichotomy in us. I mean, some people have more than a dichotomy, but we all have good and bad. We all have positive and negative thoughts.
Interesting.
I can enjoy watching the journey, especially when you watch the whole thing, everything put together. But yeah, so when someone asks a question like that, there's always the answer that you could think about and you want people to hear. And then there's the answer that instinctually comes to your brain. We did a goal setting exercise recently, and it's so I had to say the truth because the camera doesn't lie, so I wanted to just give you my authentic,
thank you,
instinctual,
and
Anakin. And we both had blonde hair as kids.
Yeah,
I even had that same haircut.
Yeah. I actually I'm really happy that you answered that way. I actually thought that you were going to say Yoda, but it's funny because on the way here when I was driving here, I thought of this question, and I also feel the same way about Anakin, where I relate to him the most. And I was almost like, oh crap, like if I say that, they're going to think, oh, I'm some evil asshole, power hungry type of guy. But ultimately, like the way that you just described it, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel very similar to that. All right, so now
my favorite character is Yoda. Now, Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
No, but yes.
Me as well, man. Me as well. So I'm going to ask you some more questions, but we're going to be playing a game. All right. And so what is your favorite animal?
Cheetah.
A cheetah. Okay. A cheetah. Now, can you give me 3 adjectives that describe why you like the cheetah?
Fast. Intuitive. And limber
Limber. What does limber mean?
means we should bring dictionaries back. You're not the only one to ask me questions about words I use.
What would you say?
You're not the only one to ask me questions about words I use.
Okay. Yeah, I would never.
Limber is your limber, elasticity, flexibility. You could be limber in your body, and of course you could be you can use it as limber in your thoughts, so to speak. But it's much more. It refers to a flexibility.
I think that's awesome. Can you just give me one more?
One more word.
Yeah, give me one more adjective that describes a cheetah.
Sexy.
Sexy. There you go. Now, what is your favorite color?
It is blue.
It's blue. Okay. Now, can you give me 3 adjectives that describe blue?
Solid.
Solid.
Present.
Present.
Unabashed.
Unabashed. Can you describe?
You need me to.
I need
unabashed. Yes.
Yes, please.
So, side note: agents always say, I'll ask an agent, "Hey, what are you doing today?" "Oh, working." And my first instinct is always to say, "Define work." Unabashed is you're just there.
Okay.
It's blue. I feel like blue. Similar, no, maybe not even more so like the color black or red, but blue. It's unabashed and it's just there, and I know I'm supposed to be here. And don't worry, I go with everything.
I love that. And then just if you want, you can give me one more as well about blue.
About blue? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I kind of like all the ones I gave you.
That is totally fine. All right, we'll move on then. Now I want you to trust me for a second here. I'm not going to do anything to you. But I want you to close your eyes really quickly.
And fall backwards. Yes, I know.
I want you to close your eyes really quickly, and I want you to imagine yourself.
That's also a trick about taking photographs, right? If you always find you blink, like when the photographer's taking your photograph, you're supposed to close your eyes real quick and open them.
Oh, really?
You don't have enough time to blink by the time the shutter goes off. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, great photographers. I've experienced 3 different photo shoots with all great photographers.
Cool.
Okay. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, all right, so you're closing your eyes, and you're imagining.
Close my mouth.
You close. Just make sure those eyes are closed, and I want you to use your imagination really quickly. I want you to imagine yourself in an all-white room.
Wait.
Okay. You're closing your eyes, and you're imagining.
I had to laugh about it.
You're closing your eyes. You're imagining yourself in an all-white room. Everything is white. What you're wearing is white. The whole entire room is white. Give me 3 adjectives to describe this all-white room.
Exponential.
Exponential.
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
Ethereal.
Ethereal.
I also scored very high on my SATs.
Now, we didn't just play this game for the sake of just asking you some questions.
I love white though. I like go to a white party.
I do too.
Like beyond belief. I have 3 different things I could wear to a white party.
Dude, me too, bro. I am right there with you. So there's a meaning to the stuff that we just did here, which I think that you'll find pretty interesting. So I asked you what your favorite animal was, your favorite color, and then we described the all white room. Mm-hmm. So you picked a cheetah for the animal. The animal is how you see yourself. So the way that you see yourself is intuitive, limber and flexible, and sexy. That's how you look at yourself.
I'm nothing if not sexy.
Now, so that's how you look at yourself. And the color, that's how other people see you. So other people see you as solid, present, and unabashed.
We should have like more people to confirm that.
But you could totally.
So
yeah.
one year, every gift I got, I've been, people are really nice in general. Like my agents get together, they do like Christmas gifts, birthday gifts. One year, I totally remember every single thing I got was blue.
Really?
I couldn't even like. I'm like blue, and I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yes, but it's interesting. I always take it for granted. Like I always love to like not analyze or overanalyze, but kind of like look at something and say, Like if someone gives you a gift, I always see it as that's how they see you. Like when someone like someone gave me a gift, gave me and my boss at the time a gift. I won't mention names, and they were both neckties. And one necktie was fun, energetic, and I used to wear ties a lot. And energetic, and it might have been like a thinner tie, or it was just cool. It was a cool tie. And then the other tie was very nice, stately, something very, very not so much formal, but normal, not outside the box. It was probably blue and green. It wasn't hot pink. It wasn't hot blue. It wasn't Tiffany blue. It wasn't So and I looked at that. I didn't tell the person. I said, "Wow, that's exactly how they see me." So anyway, I take it for granted. But it's interesting that you said blue. So the second color I chose was the color I chose is how people see me.
This is how people see you. Solid. I would agree with that. You have like a
And you
strong,
can confirm. I had no idea about these questions, and I actually have never done this exercise.
Yeah,
I've done
I figured that
personality
you
tests.
haven't, but I would say that solid as in like you were strong and you're grounded with your energy. Present, definitely a very present person.
So you know what my name means? It translates to in Greek, right?
No, I don't.
So my actual name in Greek is Theodoros.
Okay.
Theodoros.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
it's Theo is Theo. So it's actually translates to a gift from God.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah, in case people wondered where I get my personality traits.
And then we have unabashed as well, which you just described. I totally forgot what does that mean?
Oh, unabashed means you're just willing. You're there. You're I don't know, like showing up in a Speedo. Like that person is unabashed.
Right.
Yeah. The reason
definitely
I
have that
picked
energy.
I was thinking about Cheetos. Yeah.
Got you. Well, hey man, you definitely have that unabashed energy about you, man, where you show up as you wherever you go, and I think that you are very present with people, and it makes people trust you and makes people feel understood by you, and I think that that's a huge great quality that you have, and it reflects that because I felt that way. So when you said those things, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Now, with the White Room, this is how you view death. So you view death as exponential, peaceful, and ethereal. Which is very interesting. There's a lot of times where I ask people that question and people are afraid. People are afraid of the White Room and they're scared. It's cool that you have a look at it on
I love that exercise.
Yeah.
That exercise is going to make a surprise appearance at my next Monday Mindset.
I'm sure it will. It will.
I love it.
Yeah, man, I love it too. That's exactly why I figured I would bust it out for you. I feel like you'd have some interesting answers, and I do feel like they are accurate. I've personally never done one of these that was not accurate, So, but hey, some people more than others resonate with it, but I feel like it was pretty solid, man. That was pretty solid stuff.
Very cool. That was a fun exercise.
Yeah. Now,
Jim
ultimately,
was laughing the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Jim who's putting this together for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Dude, great setup in here. Super awesome. Good energy. And now, if you were to go back to your younger self, where you are at now, and you were to go back to your younger self, just starting out, maybe before you ever entered real estate, maybe it was at a time where you kind of felt like, you weren't where you wanted to be and it was a little bit difficult, maybe some pain point. What was some advice that you would give to your younger self that you now know now to be true, and something that you think that you'd be able to, yeah.
I would actually say three things to three different younger selves.
Awesome.
Because if you ever watch so I watched this HBO series, The Time Traveler's Wife. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So
I've heard of it.
The guy Time Traveler. It's really a funny, cool series.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go back to my younger self and to tell one of them, "Don't worry, your skin will clear up." I would tell someone else a little bit older, "Hair is not everything." And I would tell one other person, I think you should really go on more auditions, I just feel, and thanks to Tony Robbins, there are no regrets. I don't actually regret it because we're all where we're supposed to be.
Of course.
I just feel that if I had committed the same amount of work ethic, time, what's that other word? You're just, in real estate, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of work, after experience,
Yeah.
to get real results and to make it look like it's magic.
Yeah, 100%.
I would have, I didn't realize this until I was 24, 25. So at 18 or 19, you don't realize it. I should have, it would have been fun to see what would have happened if I had done that amount of commitment when I was, in that place of, okay, let me just go on auditions, audition. It would be cool to see how it would have worked out. But there's a movie called Sliding Doors. Gwyneth Paltrow's in it. I guess 5 people saw that movie and not in this room. But it actually it's like a movie about the sliding door. If you miss the train, what happens? And you get to see the movie twice. You get to see it once with the missing the train and having to take the second one, and you get to see it by not missing the train and getting home early, and how her life, what happens to her life. Look at that. What happens to her life, and the coolest part about the movie is that she kind of ends up where she's supposed to be in either case. That's it.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And
So I did. I answered your question. So what would I say to my younger selves?
yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
I think what's great is
And buy Apple stock.
I mean, hey man, not a bad thing either. Definitely have a lot more funds in your pocket.
Sirius Radio. Didn't buy that when I had the chance. But anyway.
Yeah, and I feel like was something that I admire a lot about you is that you kind of have this child at heart kind of thing about you, where you still have an imagination, even though because like a lot of people, they kind of dull out over time. And you still have this energy about you that's still excited about life, that's still excited about new things, that's still excited about creating and building and helping other people and whatnot.
Even though I'm coming up on my bicentennial. Yeah. People don't realize I'm 200 years old.
Yeah, man. And dude, I think that what's really cool is you could
still sexy though.
Yes. And I think what's really cool is that you could literally do anything moving forward too with that same attitude. Like a lot of people
that goes
check
for
out.
Everyone, though.
It does, but does it though? Like it does go for everybody, but not everybody's going to go for it. I believe that you would actually go for it, although it goes for everybody. Not everyone's going to go for it, and I feel like you're somebody who would. So at the end of the day, if auditions and more things like that are for you, I believe that there's still a lot of potential, and you still got a lot of capacity to make anything that you want to come true.
Wow. So how was your experience interviewing? The reason I did this was because I'm going to start podcasts, and I want to get better at. I want to be good. I don't know. No, I want to be great. I want to be great at interviewing,
right.
And I felt like the only way I could do it. So this is the second time on a podcast with getting questions.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to experience the other side.
Interesting.
And to see how, to really do a good job on that side. How was your experience?
It was good, man. It was good. I hope I mean my experience is I feel like as good as yours. If you feel like it was a great experience and whatnot, then I feel really good about that because ultimately my thing was to get as much out of you and have you have a good time and whatnot. So, how do you feel? How was it for you?
I feel great.
You did?
I actually enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect because this is completely cold.
Yeah,
this was
totally.
completely like I'd never asked you what questions you're going to ask. And I like it. I kind of feel like I always love names and titles. So I think I want to call my podcast The Hot Seat. And probably mainly because I'll put the heat up a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Here. Yeah. No, I'm kidding around.
It is a little chilly. Slightly. It's okay though, man. It's okay.
With the lights, you guys feel a little warm. So it's like, all right,
It's a little drafty.
I had heard that on the Letterman set, David Letterman always kept the temperature really low, really cold, like almost freezing, because it keeps the guests awake.
I like that actually. So yeah totally.
Yeah,
you probably
so
start
good
getting
job.
somebody to like kind of,
Yeah, too comfortable.
But yeah, man. No, I thought this was a lot of fun, and it was good to learn more about you. And I always love asking people those questions. It's kind of like something that I like to do, and it was good.